Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
For the Radical Racing Challenge, it's time to head to an age-old British track known as Oulton Park. It has been gracing race fans ever since 1953, and since that time it has gone through a change or two, but remains largely as it once was, a fast and flowing circuit that is the very definition of old school. Hello everyone, and welcome to Round 9 of the Radical Racing Challenge, brought to you live here on Apex Racing TV. My name is DJ Clark, joined in the commentary booth by Aaron Smith, with our director and producer Samula Kumo behind the scenes. And Aaron, we've talked a lot about how these new look Radicals have been a handful to control, but I've got to be thinking here today at Oulton Park, these drivers are going to find themselves with a real handful.
You say that. I think it will actually be quite suited to this car, as some people may know. Radical is of course based here in the UK. I actually only live 30 minutes away from their base in Peterborough. And yeah, I think actually these Radicals will be more suited to a track like this, where they're more likely to have maybe tested the car as they were developing it. And yeah, I think as well with this layout that we were talking about just before we went live, with none of the chicanes, I think it will actually suit this high downforce car fairly well. I don't think we'll have many side-by-side racing, as yeah, this track is known for being a little bit narrow and a little bit challenging, but I think some of the Brits, as we do have quite a lot in this lobby actually, I think they will have an absolute blast driving around here.
Yeah, it should be a good time for all of them as we take a look here at Jason Anderson, currently in 6th place as he works his way down through Knickerbrook right now. Going to find a little bit of an off track there. A great catch by Anderson. That had disaster written all over it, but he was able to pull that back together.
Yeah, that was a fantastic save, as some people have probably experienced, and he goes off again. In these higher downforce cars, if you get sort of an oversteer moment, it can be very butt clenching to try and save it again, as it is very darty. If you try and correct it in the other direction, you can just overcorrect it and spin into a wall very, very easily, and he just about managed to keep it on the track, as we're watching Gonzalez come across the line for his final lap time just about, and doesn't improve there, as we only have 14 cars today.
Yeah, only 14 cars here on the top split for the Radical Racing Challenge, but now as everything has been gridded up and ready to go, we'll run you through the starting order. It's going to be Leon Hernandez starting off in pole position, followed by Alexander Koberler. Then it's going to be Meyer Yanni and Samuli Reitinen. Robert Woodward, a stalwart here in the series, lines up P5, followed by Jason Anderson, who we followed a little bit earlier. Then it's Michael Smith and Gabriel Berger, followed by Roman Gonzalez and Jorge Gonzaga. Then it's William Doss and Edward Brewers in 11th and 12th, and Daniel Silva and Menno de Graaf round out your 14-car grid. As we take a look here overhead, everybody getting themselves in and ready to go. It's going to be a very, very quick rundown into the first corner, which is Old Hall. Bit of a brush-breaking corner in these Radicals, as you heard Aaron mention there. Plenty of downforce to be able to be generated and to bring them around. Track conditions as of right now, about 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 78 degrees in the air. You'll have to excuse me, I don't have that conversion off the top of my head, but it's about 4:15 here virtual standard time, so it should be pretty ideal conditions for these drivers to get going. We watch here as Gabriel Berger is the last one on the grid as the lights come on and we get ready to go racing as the field is all together and the lights officially do come up as there goes the green and we are racing here in Oulton Park. It looks like a pretty good getaway for the rest of the field. A little bit of a defensive move there from Leon Hernandez trying to cover off Alexander there as they go into the corner, but that number 2 machine tried to be a little bit aggressive around the outside. Gonzalez looked like he had a little bit of an off there and back as now it's Yanni trying to be able to move that number 5 machine into position as they bring their way through Cascades for the first time.
Yeah, it was a fairly rough start for Hernandez. I don't think he quite got off the line the way he wanted to and had to defend hard from the car behind and just about kept him behind, actually. It was a very, very good start for Coble behind him and Iani on their tail as well, as Anderson now still in 6th place trying to overtake Woodward. As I did mention in qualifying, the track is super, super thin and these cars are, they're not super wide, but they're not super thin either, and yeah, trying to just really find any gap, and he's going for one into this corner and just has to back out a little bit, but Alexander then giving chase to the number 1 ahead of him, and that's Doss off the track.
Doss off there and into the barriers coming through Cascades. I wonder if that was maybe a little bit of a maneuver that we saw go afoul. Nice little battle here, though. This is Daniel Silva with Roman Gonzalez behind him. The 2 Iberian drivers trying to duke it out here on track as they come down into the braking zone. We've got another car off. That's Michael Smith.
Yeah, you could easily see that one just locked a brake into the final corner. And as we've mentioned for the 1,000,000th time this season, these cars and their brakes do not get along well at all. And into that corner, that last corner is so easy to lock a brake into as this battle for 5th place carries on into this second lap of this race. And Anderson finally makes his way through. Realistically, one of the only overtaking opportunities on this track, and surely is going to pull away from here. He looks to have the upper hand on Woodward at the moment, but I mean, we're only 2 laps in, so I think he's going to have to settle down a little bit and give chase to the car ahead. He seems to be pretty feisty at the moment. He did make that mistake in qualifying, and that's another car off, and that's Graff.
Yeah, that's de Graaf. They're off going down into the braking zone for Shell Oil's corner. And again, it looks like the braking coming back to bite here. Now, that is Michael Smith, the car that we saw going off down through Lodge Corner. Focus back in on the battle, though, here. This is Jason Anderson recently being able to get by Robert Woodward, now putting pressure to the back of the number 12 of Sally Reitinen up ahead of him, trying to see if he can maybe elicit an error or maybe go for that same move down into Cascades. I've got to be thinking forcing an error is probably the easier way by around this circuit, but we'll see if Anderson is tenacious here and goes for the move down into Old Hall.
Yeah, he got an amazing run out that final corner, and that's going to end up, oh my lord. I think Reitinen was pushing the boundaries of what's legal when they're both off the track.
Oh, I'm not sure I like that from Reitinen. That looked like a little bit of too close corner. Yeah, that was a little bit of overly defensive driving there from the number 12.
Yeah, I'm fully with you there. I don't agree at all with what Reitinen did. He squeezed Anderson right up to the edge of the wall and then completely turned in him and in turn 1. And yeah, that's completely Reitinen's fault. And there's even more ding-donging going on for 7th place as Gonzalez tries to squeeze his way past Viewers for 7th place, and Silva locks up a break in front of him. And yeah, everyone just You're struggling with the brakes at the moment, but that Ryson and Anderson incident, I'm still struggling to find my head around why Ryson was so aggressive. As we take a look at a replay, they're on the main straight now. Look at how aggressive he was, pushing him up against the wall, and then just completely turns into him.
Yeah, completely turns into him there. A massive push into the wall. I think there actually was contact going down the start-finish straightaway as well, as Solid trying to get the car back going, and he now is listed as in pit lane. We check back in on this battle with Edward Boers, Roman Gonzalez, and Gabriel Berger here running 7th, 8th, and 9th as they cross over to start on lap 14. Looks like a little bit of a move there from Gonzalez, trying to percolate a little bit, but that wasn't going to play itself out. He's now going to stay in line going through Old Hall. As now we check on the front of the field where we've got another interesting battle here. This is Leon Hernandez and Alexander Kobel in a good battle.
Yeah, I was just watching that gap come down actually last lap, and Alexander put on a absolutely stonking lap, was nearly 2/10 faster than Hernandez in front of him on that last lap, and seems to have the upper hand at the moment, but maybe with just a little bit of a poor lap from Hernandez. We'll of course find out as Alexander now tucks into the slipstream, but it's just not big enough to actually go for an overtake. And yeah, I think he's really going to struggle to find any way past, as yeah, the gap is really small. It's only about 1.5 tenths at the moment, but on a track like this, it's just not really enough.
No, it's not, and there are some pretty extended flat-out sections of this track, but you do have to deal with the aero wash a little bit as you come through some of the higher speed corners, so that's going to be a problem here that Alexander is going to run into, as now they cross over the line to start on lap number 5. It doesn't exactly look like that number 2 machine is going to be close enough to send a move into Old Hall or going down into Cascade, where we've seen a couple of good moves take place. Let's see here, though. He's just going to keep on behind. Ooh, big internet blink there, though. That's not going to be what either driver wants to see, especially if Kobel there is going to try to be on the attack.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary if you're Hernandez, as if you go side by side with him, you're like, where is he? Is he in me? Is he in front of me? Is he behind me? Is he going to completely netcode me off the track? That is a sight that, yeah, no one wants to see. And obviously we don't know what it looks like from Alexander's perspective. We don't know if it's perfectly fine for him or if everyone else is blinking for him. But yeah, never a sight you want to see on iRacing, as yeah, we're trying to focus on the battle right now, but we can't really focus on where Alexander is, as he gets very close there.
Yeah, it gets very, very close, and that blinking becoming more persistent here again. That is a result of internet issues here for Alexander. That is what is causing that. It looks like the car is materialized here for the moment. Of course, as soon as I say that, blinks out of existence yet again. This could be a persistent problem through the race. I think his biggest problem here is he's just got to hope it holds out long enough that he doesn't get the dreaded upload packet loss disconnect.
Yeah, I think it's what, like a lap or two that if it carries on, it just completely bugs you out of the game. And it's I was also just about to say it looks like it's calmed down, but no, it's just going to carry on. And he did set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, and seems to have the upper hand at the moment. But maybe Hernandez is just a bit unnerved as he tries to go side by side with him, and I think Hernandez probably is absolutely terrified that he's just going to get completely just yeeted off of the track by Alexander's internet problems. But it's no, okay, again, I was about to say it's calmed down, but it does seem to have calmed down a little bit. You get the occasional blink there, but yeah, that's something we're gonna have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to watch out for, and I think here for Hernandez, what you basically have to do is just run your race as if there are no problems going on behind you, and you've got to leave that to Alexander to be smart about trying to make an overtake if indeed that number 2 goes for it. Right now, if you're Leon Hernandez, there's nothing you can do about your competitor's internet issues. You've just got to keep running the way you're running.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been in a similar situation. I think a lot of us have, where the car behind or even the car in front of you just starts blinking like mad, and you just kind of have to pretend they're not there, because there's not really much else you can do. And if an incident ends up happening, you'll just have to tell them to fix their internet, as there's not really much else you could have done. But Woodward at the moment sitting in 4th place after having a fairly not ideal start, being overtaken by Anderson, but of course Anderson and Ryson, and then decided to take each other out over the race. and is now just sitting firmly in 4th place. Little bit lacking on the pace front as he is backed off quite a bit from Iani, and we're only 7 laps in and is starting to be under pressure slightly from Gonzaga behind. And it's only 6/10. The slipstream around here, of course, is pretty weak, but round here on the straight that we're at the moment, probably where it's most effective. But I think as long as Woodward just keeps his cool, I think track position is probably more important.
Yeah, I have to agree with you about that. It's really all just about trying to drive your own lines. Much like we were talking about with Hernandez, if you are just able to drive the traditional racing line around, I would say about 85 to 90% of this circuit, you're going to find yourself able to naturally defend from the cars behind you. The only two or three real problems where that's going to come into line is maybe going into Old Hall, maybe going into Cascades, maybe going into Shell Oils. But still, even at those corners, still pretty easy to defend the line by just running what you think, especially if the gap is as large as it was. We do take a look a little farther back in the field. This is that battle that we were keeping our eye on with Gonzalez and Berger, as Daniel Silva has really kind of scampered on up the way, much as we thought he would, and now this is a 2-car battle back for 7th place.
Yeah, Gonzalez has put on a decent show so far, up 2 places. Berger has just stayed where he started at the moment. That's a big lockup from Silva in front. He's going to have to look after those tyres for about a lap or 2. But yeah, Gonzalez, as you were saying, just as long as you can keep it on your line, you should relatively be fine. I don't think you have to move or weave at all. It's just as long as you're ahead of the car behind you, then you should be able to defend fine.
Yeah, the only time that we may see a little bit of that is I think if the gap comes down under about 0.2 of a second, maybe a 1/10 and a half, that could be a little bit of where we're seeing the back and forth start to actually have a little bit of an effect. You may see some drivers really and truly trying to push their way ahead, and that's when you've maybe got to be a little bit defensive, worrying about breaking the slipstream down some of the longer straightaways on the circuit. But as for right now, Gonzalez doing what he needs to do. The gap holding at about 0.8 of a second. He is pulling away here a little bit, and I've got to say, with all the slip-ups we've seen from Daniel Silva up ahead of him, that's 2 big brake lockups going down into Shell Oils. I've got to think here Gonzalez may have his sights not too far ahead of him.
Yeah, we might possibly see Gonzalez catch back up to Silva, but yeah, just through a corner that like that, just 0.3 just magically gone. I think as long as Silva just stops making these mistakes, he will definitely pull away and possibly even catch Woodward and Gonzaga in front of him, as there is a side-by-side battle for the lead, and Leon Hernandez actually did have to defend there, and Alexander pulls alongside and blinks off and off the track, and hopefully there won't be any netcode that will affect these two. But I think now Hernandez, with the track position, can tuck in a little bit nicely, but Alexander gets a nice exit off of that corner coming down to the penultimate corner. Obviously, we have no idea where he is, and there he is on the outside. He's going to try and get the cutback round the final corner, possibly go for a move into turn 1. He's tucked into the slipstream, blinking like hell, is on the outside again, which isn't the ideal line, and yeah, just gets a lot of understeer on that line, and it's just going to have to sit behind again, frustratingly for Alexander.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing for Alexander, but watching those 2 lines that he took going down into Druids and really into Lodge as well, the thing that I'm learning about him is he wants to be able to try to make that crossover work, wants to go from the outside down to the inside, try to get Leon Hernandez to bite a little bit on that, and I think that maybe Hernandez could have seen the cards be played here from Alexander at this point. He could certainly know that that's coming, stop the car at the apex a little bit more, and try to back up the corner and prevent Alexander from really getting a good run. But that's all going to be null and void if Alexander continues to blink like this. Dare I say at this point, Aaron, it's getting worse. Ooh, as the number 2 has an off coming through Cascades.
Yeah, I think he was just pushing. He was close to Hernandez in front and was just trying to get that little bit more time so he could do what he did last lap and possibly even better and go for that overtake fully and get past. But yeah, just was a little bit too committed. It's not over, obviously. We've got 7 laps to go now when they cross the line. But yeah, just a little bit of a mistake. And as you were saying, those blinking problems, I don't know. It's not really. It doesn't seem to be unnerving Hernandez at all. But I feel like it's going to end in a horrible crash, either by netcode or some weird glitch like we saw at the Daytona 24 with the two Apex teams, where they just had one tiny little lag and just completely plowed into each other. And yeah, that's the issue with iRacing, is its lag problems are a bit goofy as there's Hernandez going wide.
Yeah, going wide, they're trying to salvage the situation a little bit by trying to really diamond off Shell Oil's corner, but I don't think that worked out for him nearly as well as he was hoping to. It's now Alexander. There you see, that's what I was talking about out of Hernandez, weaving down some of these straightaways, trying to break the draft as much as possible. Alexander not deterred from it. The gap's actually going to come down here under 0.2 of a second. Could we see a move coming down into Druids for this number 2 machine? They're going to bring their way through the corner right now. It doesn't look like he's close enough, and indeed Hernandez has been able to bide his time a little bit better. 3.5 the gap right now, so Alexander losing a little bit of running there.
I believe, just watching the timing screens, I believe Silva made another mistake somewhere, as the gap is only a second to Gonzalez behind, and we were saying how Silvia should probably be able to pull away, but yeah, he just keeps on making mistakes, and the gap behind is absolutely shot down. As we know Silva is quicker than Gonzalez, but I think he just needs to calm down a little bit. As obviously we don't know what incidents he has had, whether it was another lockup or he went wide, but yeah, that gap went from about 3 seconds to 1 second in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, really and truly did. And Gonzalez here, as he comes off the corner, is going to be getting a hair of that draft, I think. I'm seeing the gap come down just a little bit before they broke going down into Island Bend. So now they jump on the binders here for Shell Oils. It's going to be all about the exit here if you are Daniel Silva in that number 10 machine. Big wiggle, as we've got to check back in on the battle for the lead, because that was Alexander taking another look down into the inside of Hernandez going into Knickerbrook.
Yeah, I do think... I think it's kind of similar to a lot of other tracks that we've seen this season where, yeah, sure, the car behind might be quicker. There's Hernandez going wide again. I think Hernandez really is feeling the pressure now, but Alexander definitely seems to be the quicker driver. He's making less mistakes, and I think at the moment, not quite actually, I was going to say I think he has the fastest lap, but not quite, only about 0.5 tenth away from it. But of course, he is the car behind, and not really able to set a fast lap in clean air. But I think if Alexander gets a sniff down the inside, I think it's going to be curtains for Hernandez, as he's really struggling now.
Yeah, really feeling that pressure, and I wonder if that's a combination of those blinking issues just kind of constantly distracting him, as well as a good drive here from Alexander to poke his nose this way and that, and there I see a little bit of potentially what happened there to Hernandez. There is some very slight cosmetic damage on the right-hand side of that number 1 machine. I wonder if he ran wide, maybe caught a little bit of the wall.
Or maybe even a little bit of... I mean, maybe not. I was going to say maybe a little bit of lag has affected him slightly, as obviously we have no idea how he got that damage, but yeah, that could well be the reason, as Hernandez was quicker in qualifying, albeit not by much. But I mean, we've seen Hernandez drive this season. He's a fairly competent driver, he's fairly quick, and yeah, at the moment he's just really struggling. I've not seen him like this all season.
Yeah, I haven't seen him struggle like this either, and I think it's a little bit of a change in form here for Hernandez, as we've seen him be pretty dominant over the course of the season, and now having a little bit of trouble from behind. But only 4 laps to go for the Argentinian driver, so that certainly does mean the time is running out here. We are indeed on lap 14 right now, as this battle for the lead continues to be pretty electric.
Yeah, although I don't think Alexander's internet is very electric at the moment. Seems to be running off some kind of potato, but these guys' internet seems to be perfectly fine. Berger now under pressure from Buers behind. Berger sort of has just dropped away from Gonzalez, and Buers seems to be on the upper hand as he goes down the inside. Has to back out a little bit. I don't think that would have been a good idea, going side by side through there. And yeah, smartly just backs out a little bit. He can be patient. He's got a little bit of time to play with, and I think also he believes that he is the faster driver and can sort of overtake whenever he chooses, which I kind of have to agree there. He does seem to be the faster driver right now, tucking into the slipstream, and you can definitely tell he is lifting off there and just sitting behind Berger and waiting for an opportunity. As through this middle sector, there's not really any chances to go for an overtake, especially without those chicanes.
Yeah, those chicanes really scuppering those chances here for a lot of these drivers, but just good consistency here may see you be able to turn a position away. Again, just putting that pressure to the back of the driver in front of you. Easy to make a mistake here through some of these high-speed corners, so I wouldn't necessarily count out many drivers as being able to do exactly that, but we will have to see as they continue to go right now, working their way through the corners. Not seeing a mistake here being exhibited by Berger despite the pressure in the back from Brewers. This is a good run here from both of them, but now here comes that number 9 machine. Edwards starting to put a little pressure here onto the back of the number 7.
Yeah, just got a really good run out of, I believe that was turn 3 or turn 4. Yeah, the trouble with this track is there's just so many tiny kinks. You don't know if they're corners or not, but round there got a very, very good exit and surely has to go for the overtake now as Berger's being very, very aggressive on the defense and is going to force Brewers round the outside of this corner. Not sure if it's a good idea. And yeah, he smartly backs out of that one. I think Berger there was being a bit overly aggressive on the defense. He sort of blocks him one way and then kind of stuck his car in the middle of the track. We've seen quite a lot of aggressive defending in this race today, and I think some people do need to calm down a little bit, as that might have unnerved viewers slightly going side by side with him. But yeah, we've only got 2 laps to go here.
Only 2 laps to go as there's a run wide from Berger, and Brewers recognizes it, tries to move to what will be the inside here of Old Hall Corner. It's going to be side by side in a battle of the late breakers through this fast right-hander, and sweeping around the outside there is Gabriel Berger. A fantastic run to be able to hold that position at bay.
Yeah, I think watching Brewers now over these last few laps, he does need to be a little bit more aggressive, and there is his chance. He's now ever so slightly ahead of Berger, and surely has to get the overtake done, as no, he backs out again. I think Brewers is making a right hash of this, you know. I think he should have gotten this overtake done a lap or 2 ago.
I have to agree with you there. It looks like Brewers has got the speed. He just needs the tenacity to try to match here. He's going to get another good run. The gap coming down under a 10th and a half. This is going to be on the run over Hilltop down into Cascades. A little bit of a block there from Berger in front of him, and that's going to scupper Brewers yet again.
Yeah, I do really think Brewers was smart at first, just hanging back, but now he does need to be more aggressive as Hernandez crosses the start-finish line to begin his final lap of the race, and is still under pressure from Alexander behind, and I don't think Alexander's going to be able to get it done.
Don't think he is either, but the gap is 0.2 of a second as they come out of Cascades right now. Hernandez clearly feeling the pressure, going defensive on that run through Denton's, now into Cascade, or down into Island Bend right now. And oh, there's an off for Brewers. He's going to do it the long way around.
Yeah, we might have to catch a replay of that. Don't really know what happened between those two, but if that happened the way I thought it did, that was a very good overtake from Brewers. And yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much from these two. I think Hernandez has got track position, got this in the bag. It was a fairly impressive fight from Alexander, but just round this track, without those chicanes, I just think it made it way too difficult for him. Obviously, we've still got 1 sector to go, so you never know what will happen. But I believe Hernandez has got this in the bag. As we come down this last little straight, he's still defensive. Trying to break the draft around the penultimate corner, just a little bit wide there, but he's absolutely dominated this race in terms of track position, start to finish, and comes across the line to win here at Oulton Park. And Alexander just couldn't really find a way through. Iani, fairly silent race from him, comes across the line to finish 3rd for car number 5, and Woodward as well picking up a fairly nice result in 4th. As we watch behind to see if there are any more on-track overtakes. I don't believe there will be. I think you're probably going to see everyone come across the line as they are. As for the final top 10 spot, De Graaf doing a fairly decent job, up 4 places from where he started in last. And yeah, can be fairly happy with that result. Smith was catching behind, but just did not have enough in the end, as we saw plenty of overtakes, and we saw plenty of mistakes, definitely, especially that Ryson and Anderson incident. But here's a replay of Edward Bewers, and I believe this is the battle that they had. That was the earlier incident. Here is the actual overtake, I believe, for the 7th place spot, or 8th place. Bewers getting another good exit. I think he just put way too much pressure on that number 7, and eventually, I think, into this corner. Yeah, the number 7 better on the brakes, but then Bewers just shot down the outside and eventually got ahead. I still do think Bewers probably made that overtake harder than it needed to be, but nevertheless got ahead anyway. And, well, it was a fairly decent race from everyone, but incidents aplenty at Oulton Park.
Yeah, incidents aplenty, that really the name of the game as we run you through the final finishing order. It was Hernandez from Alexander Kobel, then Myron Ianni, Robert Woodward, Jorge Gonzaga, Daniel Silva, Romain Gonzalez, Edward Bewers, finally able to get that move done on Gabriel Berger, Menno de Graaf, and Michael Smith, and then Sauli Ratsanen. And let's give some credit there to Smith, able to finish on the lead lap despite having that big issue early, and as you said, closing in on Menno de Graaf. So that was a good run there for the number 6 machine. Certainly that's going to be a car and a driver that we are going to have to keep our eyes on, I think, here in weeks to come. And as we wait, Aaron, to see if anybody is going to matriculate their way up into the booth, gotta say it's going to be a good one next time out. We stay in the UK and head to Silverstone. Certainly going to be plenty more opportunity to get an overtake done around there.
Yeah, as I said at the very start of this broadcast, I think once again it's going to be a track that is well suited to these Radicals, as I think the big tracks that Radicals probably tested out was probably Oulton Park, Snetterton, Silverstone, all the big UK tracks that, you know, sort of everyone knows. And yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of fun through there, like through Maggots and Beckett's, through Cops. I think this car's going to feel pretty good through there, and we might see a lot more overtakes than we did today. And of course, a lot wider, so maybe more racing action.
Maybe indeed, and please tune in with us next Friday for that action as the Radical Racing Challenge will head to Silverstone. But in the meantime, it looks like we've just about got to wrap up for here today, because I'm not seeing anybody coming their way up into the booth. So that will do it for us here on Apex Racing TV. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, as well as Aaron Smith here in the booth with me, as well as Samuli Kumo, who is our director and producer for the day, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.